Mightyreacts, back with the reacts. On today's video, we are reacting to the Infographics Show, the real reason Cartoon Network failed. So enough of the talking, let's react!
It used to be the cornerstone of Saturday mornings. No school, no homework, just back-to-back cartoons. But now, the network that defined an era is in an early grave. Today, with 24/7 streaming and endless networks, kids don't have to wait until the weekend. They can watch cartoons anytime, anywhere. So exactly what happened to Cartoon Network? Was it streaming giants, shifting habits, or was it an inside job? Find out on this episode of the Infographics Show why Cartoon Network failed. And don't forget to subscribe. If you're a 90s kid, the odds are your childhood is packed with cartoon memories, and most of them aired just once or twice a day. When you came home from school, there was always a full lineup waiting for you, including Tiny Toon Adventures, Animaniacs, Batman, and Goof Troop. But
Yep, I remember those times. What was your favorite show that y'all like to watch when y'all came from school? My favorite one when I come from school was Ben 10. Every time when I reach home, Ben 10 was playing, so Ben 10 was the one I like to watch.
Saturday mornings was the holy grail. From dawn until noon, it was a marathon of pure animated joy. This was where many millennial kids got their first introduction to Pokemon, and where Disney's famous One Saturday Morning ruled the airwaves. It seemed like a tradition that would never end, but nothing is forever, not even childhood. Today, flip on the TV on a Saturday morning and you're more likely to find news, game shows, and soap operas. Not a single cartoon in sight. Who could turn off such a beloved tradition? One of the main culprits was the government. While the kids were enjoying their cartoons, their parents were growing concerned. Every Saturday ended with hyper kids begging for toys. This led to new regulations that prohibited certain advertisements for toys and junk food during kids' programming, slashing the profit margins. Regulations were soon passed requiring kids' content to have a certain amount of educational content. But the biggest opponent of Saturday morning cartoons and their syndicated weekend counterpart turned out to be themselves. In the 80s, a new competitor started to emerge in the world of cartoons. Kids didn't have to wait for after school or Saturday mornings to get their cartoon fix. They could flick on the TV, turn to their favorite cable channel, and there would be cartoons playing at all hours of the day. With more time slots, these networks could soon greenlight more cartoons for all age groups, including nostalgic adults. And soon, their competition got bigger. Unsurprisingly, the first to drop their anchor in the new waters of cable was Disney. The Disney Channel debuted in 1983, and it would be a runaway hit, creating a massive increase in subscriptions and causing kids to beg their parents to get cable. While the early years of the channel focused on live-action sitcoms and TV movies, it would soon host more and more cartoons. It was such a success that it spawned two spin-offs, Disney XD, an action-focused channel, which had slightly more mature cartoons, and Disney Junior, which focused on preschoolers with shorter-form content. But an upstart with a catchy name would soon pose the biggest challenge yet. Now owned by Paramount, Nickelodeon launched in 1977, but it didn't get serious attention until the 1990s. That's when its lineup of original programming began making waves. Rugrats, a show about the adventures of imaginative babies, not only was a hit on TV but spawned two motion picture spin-offs. It also struck gold with a more serious show, the Asian-influenced epic fantasy Avatar: The Last Airbender. And the company hit pay dirt in the early 2000s with SpongeBob SquarePants, a tale of a hard-working sea sponge working in fast food and his eccentric neighborhood. It was such a huge hit that it is still running today and has spawned an endless series of movies, spin-offs, and even a stage show. So it was inevitable that one of the kings of cartoons would soon get into the fray. Warner Brothers has been a cartoon powerhouse for almost a century, with
which network or which one was your favorite thing to see? Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, or Disney? Mine was Cartoon Network first, and then Nickelodeon, and then Disney. Let me know in the comments.
Bugs Bunny and the Looney Tunes only being second to Mickey and his friends in recognizability. They still have a huge fan base, so it was no surprise when they joined the cable cartoon fray in 1992 with Cartoon Network. With all of the Warner Brothers properties at their disposal, they not only made the most of the Looney Tunes, but of the famous superheroes of DC Comics. That advantage didn't just help them dominate, it gave them room to take creative risks, leading to some of the most distinctive original cartoons of the 90s and 2000s. And then there was Adult Swim, an adult-focused programming block that offered mature and bizarre cartoons. But while it started out high, it didn't stay there. From the start, Cartoon Network has always had a reputation as a more offbeat experimental network than its competition. It had to. Launching later than its rivals like Nickelodeon and Disney meant that it needed to make a mark fast. While its earliest shows focused on classics like Looney Tunes and Tom and Jerry, as well as DC Comics shows like Justice League and Teen Titans, before long they rolled out original and experimental content that gained them a lot of acclaim and a lot of confusion. Now, when we say experimental, we mean some of those shows are weird. Early Cartoon Network original hits included Dexter's Laboratory, about a pint-sized mad scientist, Powerpuff Girls, about a trio of preschool-age superheroes.
Bro, I know everybody was watching Powerpuff Girls, bro. No matter what, if you was a boy, you watching Powerpuff Girls. I watch it. Yeah. And Dexter was the shit too.
And the deeply traumatizing Courage the Cowardly Dog, featuring a tiny pup fighting the eldritch abominations threatening his elderly owners. In the 2000s, the network's signature show became Adventure Time, about a boy and a talking dog exploring a realm of talking candy and strange monsters. It paved the way for shows like Steven Universe, which saw a family of sentient cosmic gems raising a half-human, half-alien boy. Regular Show, a surrealist comedy about a raccoon and a blue jay working.
Bro, regular Show is my favorite one. Okay, give me your top 5 Cartoon Network shows. Mine was Regular Show. I think how we call it, the kids next door, or the 5 kids of, something like that. Tom and Jerry, of course. Ben 10. And Ed and Eddie. So yeah, these were my top 5 shows. I used to like watching them a lot.
Dead-end jobs, and The Amazing World of Gumball, a series that featured bizarre and surreal visual gags. The network had a loyal fan base, even if most didn't know how to describe their favorite show. And it wasn't just the kids who fell for this strange new network. While Disney and Nickelodeon stuck to strictly family-friendly fare, Nick at Night's classic sitcom reruns being the closest it ever came to adult content, Adult Swim veered in the opposite direction. Its first original show was Space Ghost Coast to Coast, which reinvented the classic superhero as a talk show host. The network aired action-packed anime, reruns of adult sitcoms like Family Guy, and assorted original shows. That was until it hit the jackpot with Rick and Morty, a sci-fi show about a mild-mannered boy traveling the multiverse with his deranged mad scientist grandpa.
I didn't watch a lot of
the good times would never end, but they did, in a hurry. If you look at Cartoon Network today, it's a shadow of its former self. It's so dramatic, in fact, that the network has barely any original shows on it. Most of the popular ones have ended, some have migrated elsewhere, and others have been abruptly canceled by the network. But that doesn't mean Cartoon Network is extinct by any stretch. It's still running from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m., but what kids will find will be very different from the old days, and it might be very repetitive. And if you ask the fans, it has ruined Cartoon Network. Viewership of the network has declined precipitously over only a few years, with more than half of the audience disappearing in only 5 years. The average viewership in 2020 was 274,000 viewers, with over 100,000 being in the coveted 18 to 49 demographic.
I know why. Because now you have YouTube and all of those things that nobody's gonna watch shows on the TV no more. Everything is on YouTube, Netflix, Disney Plus, all of those things. That's why.
It declined to around 200,000 in 2021, but it didn't reverse its decline or even stay steady. Instead, it kept dropping hard, to the point that in April 2025, the average viewership was just 61,000 people, or 44,000 households. That is more than an 80% drop in less than half a decade. And it makes people wonder if the network might be along for the world. It's unlikely that Cartoon Network will be going off the air anytime soon. It's still profitable, especially as it airs relatively little original content these days, and it can keep going on forever on mostly reruns.
Haribo vis, lekkere zure snoepjes. Haribo vergroot en klein, zo leuk kan het leven zijn.
Je kunt het niet meer slechts op één plek verkopen. Je moet op alle plekken tegelijk verkopen.
But the heart of the network has already been
You know what they should do? They should put the classic shows on Netflix. The same way Nickelodeon put SpongeBob on Netflix. Bro, believe me, a lot of people will see it. So I think that will be a good option for them.
shut down, with its in-house animation studio closing its doors in 2023 and the website being taken offline in 2024. That essentially makes the network a ghost of its former self, running on nostalgia and reruns, while the people who made it a success are already long gone. If you ask its old-school fans, it's already dead, which raises the question, who killed it? Like any good murder mystery, there are plenty of suspects, but perhaps the biggest culprit behind Cartoon Network's decline is simple. It never quite kept pace with its rivals. Shows like Gravity Falls, SpongeBob, and Avatar became merchandising icons and spawned multiple spin-offs, even if the latter's fans would rather not talk about it. There is no live-action movie in Ba Sing Se. But Cartoon Network shows were always cult hits at best. None of the original properties have ever had a theatrical movie spin-off, for one thing. The closest was probably the adult-skewing Rick and Morty, but its biggest success involved a PR disaster and a riot over McDonald's Szechuan sauce. And they also haven't broken out into the real world. One of the biggest ways a kid's property becomes an empire these days is with a presence in theme parks.
Yes.
Disney obviously has an entire theme park empire to itself, and its most
Yeah, Disney really take over, bro.
successful cartoons can hold court there. Nickelodeon has multiple licensing deals with top theme parks,
Nickelodeon too,
including
they are
the
really
indoor
big.
Nickelodeon Universe theme parks at a pair of giant malls, and several areas dedicated to its characters at Universal Studio Parks. While Cartoon Network's parent company Warner Brothers does have a licensing agreement with the Six Flags chain, it's usually limited to some branding and character meet and greets. And even then, it's really only the Looney Tunes and DC heroes who get to represent the company. But they do have one surprising presence. It's just not where you think. Cartoon Network's most prominent real-world presence is the Cartoon Network Hotel, a heavily themed family resort inspired by the Powerpuff Girls, Steven Universe, Adventure Time, and more. There's even a Cartoon Network-themed pool and restaurant. So where
that's cool.
is this shrine to animated chaos located? Orlando? Los Angeles? Nope. It is located in the Amish town of Lancaster, Pennsylvania, right next to Dutch Wonderland, a fairy tale-themed amusement park. This makes the two an odd fit, and the Cartoon Network Hotel a big surprise to many people who encounter it. And that has kept Cartoon Network from reaching the heights of its competition, but its decline may be self-inflicted. Today, those who tune into Cartoon Network may be in for an unpleasant surprise. The network has very little in the way of original content. Rick and Morty still holds court on Adult Swim, but the show has been through rough waters. Its co-creator and lead voice actor was fired from the show due to a series of allegations and controversies. As for the kids, there's only one show currently airing new episodes on the network, and it just so happens to be its most controversial, Teen Titans Go, a long-running
Bro, I totally forgot about Teen Titans Go, bro. Teen Titans Go. Bro, this one was one of the best shows too. But I think they even have Teen Titans Go on Netflix, right? So, yeah. I think so too. But yeah, definitely one of the good shows, great shows.
spin-off of the DC Comics animated series Teen Titans took the show's 5 lead characters and turned them into chibi-style parodies of themselves, packed with dense humor and visual gags. And old-school fans of the characters hate it. But there's just one problem: little kids seem to love it. It's been running for over 10 years, and it got a spin-off movie. It's so successful for the network that it can run for hours at a time and air repeats that take up the majority of the kids' programming for the day. And that has left little room for anything else. Most of Cartoon Network's other shows have ended or been canceled. Shows like We Baby Bears, itself a chibi-style
Never see
spin-off
that.
of another show, are in limbo as they wait for the news of renewal. Many shows, when they air on Adult Swim, come in knowing that they are likely to only have a limited run. It's not just that Cartoon Network is in decline, it's that no one is sure anymore if there is even a place for it at all. Because cartoon viewing has changed once again in a big way. The days of tightly scheduled cartoon blocks are over. Today's kids aren't adjusting their day around a network's timetable, they're used to cartoons being on demand via streaming platforms. Fans can simply open a website or an app and order up their favorite shows just like you'd search for your favorite episode of the Infographics Show. Disney has Disney Plus and Hulu, while Nickelodeon has Paramount Plus. Cartoon Network's parent company has HBO Max, which has a massive array of old and new content. So that's where everyone should go to watch the new Cartoon Network shows, right?
Yes.
Well, it would seem so, but it hasn't worked out that way. HBO Max did play host to the acclaimed Fiona and Cake series, a more mature spin-off of Adventure Time.
Yeah.
But in recent months, some surprising announcements have been made. A new season of Gumball will be coming, but it'll be airing on Hulu, owned by WB's competitor Disney. And likewise, a revival of regular show will be moving to Adult Swim, and most surprisingly, the Steven Universe sequel Lars of the Stars will be airing on Amazon Prime. None of these revivals of Cartoon Network hits will actually be airing on the main Cartoon Network. And if you ask some people, that might be by design. There is one thing nearly every hit cartoon has in common. It's a memorable villain. Whether it's Elmer Fudd chasing that wascally wabbit, Joker springing another death trap on Batman, or yet
who
another
remembered
masked
that guy?
criminal unmasked by the Mystery Machine Gang, the story wouldn't be the same without a great bad guy. And if you ask Cartoon Network fans, the network has one of its own. David Zaslav, the head of Warner Brothers Discovery and the man in charge of the network's future. Since he took over in 2022, Zaslav has gained a reputation as a notorious cost cutter. He began his career at sister company Discovery, which specializes in reality television, and he's made some deep cuts in Warner Brothers scripted content. Most famously, he shelved a nearly completed Batgirl film as a tax write-off, ensuring it would never ever be seen. He did the same to a Scooby-Doo animated film, and a pair of Looney Tunes movies almost suffered the same fate before being rescued from oblivion by an upstart new studio.
Hey, by seeing that, I think he's a problem. Maybe, I don't know, but bro,
Up
think he's a
entertainment.
problem.
And that has led many people to ask, does this guy even like
Wat is nou het beste vriendenverhaal van Nederland?
We worden wakker en we zien opeens Maastricht staan.
Ja joh, werd dus gelikt door een giraf die met zijn nek dus door het raam.
Deel jouw vriendenverhaal op amstel.nl en maak kans op 3 tickets voor de Vrienden van Amstel Live.
cartoons? Fans of the classic WB cartoons have noticed that more and more shows seem to be disappearing from HBO Max, only to show up on rival streaming services. Defenders of Zaslav said that he is essentially a finance guy
What y'all
who's
think
just
about
trying to
that?
find the most profitable option for the company, and getting a license fee for their own properties is a nice little boost for the coffers. But others say he is essentially selling off the company's legacy for parts. And the way it looks, the future of cartoons at WB isn't bright. Only a few new cartoons have debuted on the network and streaming service in recent years. Close Enough, from the makers of Regular Show, debuted with the streaming service but was canceled after 3 seasons and disappeared. Invincible Fight Girl, a new anime-inspired
about that
adventure,
show.
got good reviews, but is waiting for news of a second season. The one breakout hit, My Adventures with Superman, not only got renewed for a 3rd season, but has had several spin-offs announced, so there may be a future for cartoons at WB, but only if you're a part of an existing franchise. So where is the next big franchise going to come from? If there is one bit of good news from Cartoon Network, it's that misery loves company. Neither of its competitors are what they used to be either. Disney Channel has seen its output of new cartoons decrease as it shifts its focus away from serialized adventure cartoons. While its long-running hits Big City Greens and Phineas and Ferb
Phineas
are
and
still
Ferb,
going
bro.
strong, it recently canceled a trio of new cartoons after only 1 season. Both it and Nickelodeon have detailed several of their most
Bro, Phineas and Ferb was, in my opinion, the best cartoon show on Disney Channel.
popular
watch
cartoons over to the streaming services as the
every
audiences
episode.
for cable TV continues to decrease. But the biggest competition may be coming from an unexpected source. Now, if you ask kids today what they're watching, you're likely to get a
YouTube.
very simple response. It's not Mickey Mouse or Looney Tunes,
Oh,
and
nice.
it's certainly not any of Cartoon Network's former hit shows. The most popular cartoon for beginning viewers today
on
is
YouTube.
Coco Melon, an independent cartoon for toddlers that focuses on simple skits and musical numbers starring crudely animated babies. What started off as a YouTube show became
Yes.
a regular feature on Netflix and soon on Disney Plus, made for a fraction of the cost of
Yes.
cable TV animation.
I already
And it
told
might
that.
just be the start of what people are calling brain rot. Many
Oh,
young
shit.
kids start their cartoon watching lives with colorful YouTube videos, many of them featuring copyrighted characters from Disney and Nickelodeon. but very much not by these companies. These offbeat musical videos, many of them AI generated, are everywhere on YouTube and are designed to be played ad nauseum. With little kids reared on those, their attention spans suffer, and they might never make their way to longer form cartoons. That's left these companies hoping for help from older viewers, but they might have left as well, for very different sources. If you ask today's teenagers and animation buffs what their favorite new show is, you'll get a variety of responses. They might mention Has Been Hotel and Hell of a Boss, a duo of profane animated musical comedies set in a very offbeat take on the afterlife. Or they might shout out The Amazing Digital Circus, a surrealist thriller about a group of people who find themselves trapped in a bizarre cartoon circus run by a mysterious ringmaster. They might even give some love to the newer Mech West, a steampunk Wild West adventure filled with robots and bandits. But you won't find any of those shows on Cartoon Network. They all have two things in common. They are highly ambitious and original shows, and they are all independent animation projects that began their life on YouTube. As their fandom grew, many of them were picked up by streaming services to find a bigger audience. And as more and more creators turn to these independent animation studios, the networks and streaming services lose their grip on the talent that may have made their shows a hit to begin with. And that has led many people to ask a critical question: is there a future for TV animation anymore? The biggest challenge facing Cartoon Network, and to a lesser extent its rival networks, is if it's even worth making original cartoons for them anymore. The networks aren't going anywhere, and they have decades of original content from the past built up that they can re-air ad nauseum for new fans to discover. Shows like Gravity Falls and Avatar: The Last Airbender still have a firm grip on fans, while Cartoon Network has an entire library of Steven Universe and Adventure Time episodes ready for new viewers to binge on, especially as spin-offs continue to roll out on other platforms. The networks have no need to fold anytime soon, but they also don't have any motivation to step up anything new. And so it's likely that the networks will just keep on going.
That's on them.
But every year they'll become less and less relevant. And when they do finally go the way of networks like UPN or Funimation, no one might even notice. Cartoon Network lost its audience by drifting away from what made it iconic. But it's not the only household name struggling to hold on. Watch The Real Reason McDonald's is failing to find out why the Golden Arches are starting to lose their...
Hey man, what y'all think about that? Yes, Cartoon Network. Since I was a little boy, I used to watch it a lot, but I don't know if it's gonna make a comeback or not. But nowadays, everything you see on YouTube or you have Netflix, so it's gonna be a real challenge for them to come back. And let me know which Cartoon Network show was your favorite. If you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. See you guys on the next reaction. Peace.